Thank you very much, everyone, for joining our MedTech Connect Partnering 101 webinar today. We certainly appreciate everyone's time. And my apologies, we were having a few technical difficulties, so we're just a couple minutes late getting started. And then also, if you heard some of the back and forth, apologies for that as well. But again, thank you for joining us today. I just wanted to quickly start off with what we're going to be covering and the speakers that we have that are joining us today for the webinar. We have Mr. Chris Yoakum, who is a strategic advisor with Hoya, who is one of our MedTech Conference sponsors. And Chris is a partnering pioneer. He has been in the biopharm industry for over 30 years. And is also doing some work with the MedTech industry for the past several years. And he has attended a lot of industry events and is going to just talk about the value of partnering and how it's important and how value it can be as a strategic business development tool. Again, my name is Beth Perkins. I'm the Director of Business Development and Investor Relations for the MedTech Conference. And I'm going to give you a brief overview of the conference, which I'm sure you're all registered, you're all attending and using MedTech Connect, but we will tell you a few things. And then we have Dave Bilkowski, who's with Jujima, and they are our partner and vendor for the MedTech Connect system. So he is going to provide a demo for us. And then my colleague, Kim Pittenger, is going to talk about some logistical details with MedTech Connect on site, and then she'll also give some tips for successful partnering. And just to, before I turn it over to Chris, I just, again, wanted to welcome everyone if you're just dialing in, and I wanted to ask you to please mute your phone or your computer audio because we are recording this, so we want it to be as clear as possible. And if you have any questions, if you can hold those to the end, we will unmute it so that everyone can ask their questions, or either you can use the chat feature, which Kim will be monitoring, and she can read those out loud for everyone, and we can address your questions. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Chris.
Thank you, Beth. Let me just do a sound check since I'm operating off my iPad. Is this good?
Yeah. Sounds good, Chris.
Okay, thank you. Well, welcome everyone to learning about MedTech Connect and the AdvaMed Annual Conference. As Beth said, I'm Chris Yoakum, and some of you may know me, but I'm guessing that most of you have not. This will be my third AdvaMed conference, but I've been involved in web-based online partnering since the late 1990s and attended many business development and partnering meetings over the years. And because of that experience, I've amassed a good bit of expertise in how to maximize the benefits from participating in MedTech Connect while you're in advance of your participation or your attendance at the conference in San Jose. There's several aspects of the MedTech system that Dave will be reviewing, the mechanisms and the functionality. I want to talk about the bigger picture and why it's important for you to be proactive and engaged and to spend the next few weeks before the conference identifying opportunities to arrange one-on-one partnering meetings while you're out in San Jose. First off, you should have received login credentials, and I would encourage everyone to log in, post a picture of themselves if you like, and add your company profile, make sure it's accurate and up to date, and add your own personal profile. This is as much about promoting your company to potential partners as it is about promoting your own engagement. I like to humanize things and put a face on things, so hopefully you've got a good headshot or even a casual shot to put up there. It really does help with you connecting with individuals. It's important to complete your profile, and it's very important to make sure that in your company profile you have the areas of interest that you're looking to partner in. Many people will just grab something off their website that might have been meant for an investor meeting or even for investor relations. And really the purpose of MedTech Connect is to identify what areas your company is working in, what types of technology you have available for licensing, and what type of, and if you're on the buy side, what types of technologies that you're looking for. There are a number of different entities involved in the partnering process, but I'm going to primarily focus on the roles that both large and small companies play in connecting through MedTech Connect. Years ago, people will attend scientific and business development conferences and just look to connect informally. But this is a really incredible tool that allows you to promote your company, secure meetings with potential partners. Sometimes those are introductory meetings, and sometimes they might be follow-on meetings. But for the most part, we encourage folks to review all their meeting requests that come in reactively and give consideration to meeting. And if you're not interested in meeting a company, a polite, just as you would do in any social network, a polite thank you, good luck at the conference, but doesn't align with our interests. So it's important to at least acknowledge those meeting requests. So the system allows you to be proactive and to search. So you can put in keywords and search on companies that are aligned with your area. I'll just use Hoya as a reference for this one instance. Hoya is particularly interested in ophthalmics, and so that features prominently in the company profile. And often we will search on the term ophthalmology, optics, endoscopy, and terms like that, and that will show us the other companies that are operating in that space, so you can quickly identify potential partners. I strongly suggest that if you're requesting a meeting, that you do it in a very personal way. It's okay to cut and paste a paragraph or so into your request of standard language, but you'll get a lot more traction and a lot more response if you address your request to a specific individual, tell them that you saw their profile or you know about their company, you know they have an interest in a particular technology, and then explain why the technology that your company has could be of interest to them. So that's a lot of guidance, a few pointers for the smaller companies. On the larger companies, I often encourage them. They get a lot of meeting requests, and therefore that's why the small companies, it's important to personalize your meeting requests to companies. Some of the bigger medical device companies, Medtronic, J&J, and others will get a couple of hundred meeting requests, so you need to try to make your meeting stand out, including the title. Don't put meeting request. Put something very specific in the title of the request. So on the large company side, again, if it's important to know that company's areas of interest as well, so that you can target your requests to a technology that aligns with their specific focus. Let me pause right there for a second. Beth?
Yes, that was great. Did you have, I don't have any specific questions right now. Did you have any more that you wanted to offer?
Yeah, I just wanted to pause there and make sure that I'm keeping on track with the time and everything. So
oh yes,
I'm good.
Absolutely. You're great on that.
Okay, great. So again, the system is live now. In fact, I just got my credentials today, so thank you, Dave. I know you're listening. And for those of you who've attended the conference in the past, you actually have access to a preloaded profile. But again, I'd encourage you to go in and edit that profile and make sure that it's up to date. The second thing is to make sure that you look at the conference program, block out those sessions that you're planning to attend, but try to leave as many open time slots as possible. So partnering is taking place over 2 days, the Tuesday and the Wednesday. And so I would encourage you to look at the program well in advance so you know which sessions you want to attend, and you know which sessions in your calendar that you can leave open for partnering. If you have a meeting accepted by a company, it's really important that you show up on time or be in the specific location for that meeting. And that applies to whether you're a big company or a small company. It can be incredibly frustrating to be sitting at a table and it's 5 after or 10 after the hour and someone hasn't shown up, and you could lose a meeting slot. So I'd encourage everyone to be sure and let folks know if there's a schedule conflict. And Dave's over at the help desk, and he can easily help reschedule any meetings that you have on a sudden or last-minute conflict and are unable to keep the scheduled appointment. Dave's more than happy to help with that. I'll just leave in closing that this system, tools like this simply didn't exist, a short time ago, and they've become incredibly easy to use and incredibly beneficial. You don't have to spend a ton of time, but you do need to start early. It's worthwhile logging into the system now, spending 10 or 15 minutes of your morning or your afternoon, and be proactive. Don't wait around for companies to request meetings with you. That's the most beneficial aspect of the system, is that it puts you in control and allows you to be the one to direct the meeting requests to other companies. So think of it as a social network, because that's exactly what it is. And I'll just close and say I wish everyone good luck. I'm looking forward to seeing you in San Jose. Beth, over to you.
Thank you, Chris. We very much appreciate you joining in today and giving your perspective on partnering in general and how beneficial it is for business development efforts at the conference. So thank you again. So we're just going to just briefly talk about the conference, and then I'm going to turn it over to Dave. I just wanted to highlight quickly to everyone that we have rebranded this year from AdvaMed 2015, AdvaMed 2016, to be known as the MedTech Conference, and it's really to strongly emphasize that this is the industry event for everyone to come together once a year for networking and educational purposes and business development activities. So again, just emphasizing that. I will not go into detail on these charts on who attends, but I do just want to point out that all the C-level and high-level people that do attend, and how valuable MedTech Connect can be to meet with those people while there. And along the same lines, this is a group of our 2017 sponsors who will be active and participants in MedTech Connect. So as Chris was saying, be proactive and reach out to them for meetings. So I'm going to turn it over to Dave now to talk about MedTech Connect and just do the demo for us. Again, Dave is with our vendor Jujima, and so he is going to walk us through how to do some specific things. And just bear with us a second as we turn over the screen share to Dave.
Thank you, Beth, and thank everyone for joining us today. Everyone should be seeing a login screen at this point. My game plan right now is to make this as easy as possible and streamlined for everyone. I'm going to highlight the areas that Chris spoke about, give you my own insight on the experience I've had in the networking events the last 10 plus years, and address any questions after the fact. Simply put, first and foremost, after you complete your registration, it normally takes around anywhere from 1 to 2 days for us to get and process the registration data. You'll then be sent an email with a username and password, which I will log in for myself right now. You have your desktop portal, which I highly recommend using leading up to the event. It's a lot easier to send out a lot of requests and emails and do your pre-meeting due diligence on the computer as opposed to your phones. But we do have the mobile apps in all the stores, or an HTML5 version for any smart device that's not Apple or Android. Once you log in the first time, you will not see this right now because I've been using the service, but once you log in the first time, it's going to ask you to change your password. That will be your password moving forward. It's also going to show you this screen. So if you bear with me 1 second, this screen will be the first thing you see either on the mobile app or the desktop. So Chris mentioned updating your interests or areas of focus to better connect with individuals. So at the conference this year, we're doing matchmaking, and basically what we're asking everyone to do is fill out a little bit of their personal profiles, what they're interested in, investor types or job functions, right at the beginning. And what you could do from there is save and see people with similar liked interests, or you can go right to the networking component where you could search particular individuals based off of that. Going back to the home screen, so we can just start from a fresh perspective. One of the first things Chris mentioned was always updating your profile. I can't agree more with him. The more visible you are, the more information you post about yourself or your organization or your needs, the better it is to connect with like-minded individuals or people that are looking to partner with similar interests. Easiest way to accomplish this, right in the upper left-hand corner, it says View Profile. Click that button. Now, this is going to take you to your profile page. You have a few options from here. It defaults to your personal profile, so you can update a photo from here. You can add content, which we'll get to in a moment, but this is where you can upload videos, documents, photos. If you are socially active, if you're liking posts similar to a Facebook or following people and want to see what they're posting, all of the information that you collect will be listed on your home page. You have the ability to view your messages through here, people that you favorited, your meetings. It's kind of an all-in-one inclusive page just for you. But simply put, let's go back to updating your information. Click on the green button to edit your profile. This is going to be what we take from your registration data. You're only seeing my email because this is the only place you'll see it. It's visible because I'm obviously can update that if I'd like. Other users do not see that. Chris mentioned if you've attended past events or other events that we might have powered, you could pull your information from that. You can also pull from LinkedIn if you want to pull your profile and photo from there. Scrolling down the page, you would upload your profile description, any keywords you want to have listed there, or all the various matchmaking types as well that you would update at the beginning. Now, that's your personal profile. What I highly recommend is you click on this number 2 and you update your organizational information. Very similar to the personal information. You would click on the green button and you can edit everything. The only thing we do not allow you to edit is the company name, and the reason for it is you've registered with that name and we don't want people representing a company they did not register with. If for whatever reason that you need to change your company name, you could simply email myself or the support email and we'll have that updated for you pretty quickly. You can also pull your company's profile from past events as well. This is all based off the website that you have saved. So if your website has changed, then you're going to have to re-update your information. So that's updating your profile, making sure that you're public, making sure that you're recognizable. One of the other things that I highly recommend is being social. Now, it's not in everyone's, let's say, nature. Maybe they don't want to make a post saying, oh, how's the weather or something like that. But if you're going to an event to market your goods or services, or if you're looking for particular interest, why not post it on a feed that everyone's going to be looking the first thing they do when they go into the mobile app or the desktop? Now, through here, you'll see, the conference has posted something. You'll see people who've updated profiles. If you're interested, you could click on them. If someone's uploaded any content, you can simply select that to view their documents or select the video to watch the video. If you're interested in the document, you can like that. You can follow it if you'd like as well. What that would do is basically add that to your profile page and allow you to access it at any point. You can view all the content that's through here. If you wanted to view all the documents and videos, you can also edit both your profiles on this far right-hand side, side by side. So we give you lots of different areas and ways to update your information. Now let's talk about networking. So that's the next thing. Everyone's, the pre-meeting networking, connecting with the right individuals, making sure you book those meetings and how that all works. You have a few different ways to do that. Your matches, which is the third button, is basically based off of those interests that you select. So those are people with similar liked interests. If you want to search the whole database of individuals, you'd click the second button, attendees. It defaults to the company view where you can have search items by company name, keyword, how is that company classified, or who was added in the last day or the last week. Or you could click on the individual, the people button, and based on your registration types, are you a manufacturer under or over 100 million, a service provider, you could filter individuals that way. Or simply put, you could say, I'm looking for people with a business development job function that might be in academic industry. Out of the 979 people, it tells me 19 people meet that criteria. I start to scroll down, and you'll see right here, this individual, they updated their interests. This is the first thing you have to do when you log in, but I don't see a profile or a picture. Not to pick on anyone, but the first one I'm drawn to is Fariba Anderson. I do see information. I can connect with her on LinkedIn if I'd like. I see she's using the mobile app, and I get a description here. Now, if I have interest in meeting with Fariba, I could easily request a meeting. Now, how this is going to work on the mobile app or the desktop, it's one and the same. First, you have the 2 days of the event. They're allowing one-to-one meetings. You then can pick the duration that you'd like to meet. If you want to do a quick meet and greet, select 15 minutes. That's going to allow you more touch points throughout the event. If you know that you're going to discuss something that's going to get in depth, maybe you want a 30-minute meeting. Based off of those two selections, these time slots are the available times that you are both mutually available. So there's no guesswork here. It's knowing that you're both available at 9 a.m., so let's put that down. The system will assign you a location. It's going to give you a numbered table or an exhibitor booth based on what is available at that time. The rest of this works like an email. So you'd put a subject, a description, as Chris said. Obviously, you could do some copying and pasting for the descriptions if you're doing the same good or service, but definitely put a unique touch to it, maybe 1 or 2 sentences about why you're reaching out to them and then your goods or service. And then you would invite them to a meeting. What's going to happen is she would get an email with all the information. She could accept it, decline it, or reschedule it based off of your mutual times. And then once it's accepted, you'll both receive another notification letting you know that the meeting was confirmed and what the location is. On top of that, you will have notifications in the desktop. There'll be numbers here if there's been a new update. These would be highlighted, and you can assign up for push alerts on the mobile app as well if you'd like. Everything's going to be added to your personal schedule as well, which we'll get to in one moment. 2 other things with this while looking at profiles. If you want to email someone, it's a email system. There's nothing really, we didn't reinvent the wheel here. So it's just within the service, it's secure. You don't know what that person's email is, but everything's cataloged for you in your message center. You can easily export all of your contacts, or not contacts, but your emails, and populate a CRM system after the fact. Other than that, if you wanted to add individuals as favorites, you could do so. That's almost like a lead source. You could take notes on individuals, and again, you have your tools on the right. There are 2 views here. Some people like the table view, where you're negating the pictures and you just want to look at all the names, their titles, and their organization. You can expand the profile views through here. You can look at an export of everyone's contact data minus their emails right through here as well. Other tools on the left. On top of your meeting function, you have a manage meeting areas. If I wanted to view all of my confirmed meetings, those are ones that are already accepted, they'd be listed here. Tells me I'm meeting with Colleen at 1:15 on the 26th at table 1. This was just a test. I could click on this to view the whole interaction between us. I could cancel a meeting through here. As Chris mentioned, if you know you can't make that time anymore, if I go to reschedule this, these are mutually available times. So there's no back and forth. It's saying that, all right, well, we know you're both available at 10:45. Sorry, I need to make this for now. And then you just hit confirm. It's going to reschedule that meeting for you. One thing I would suggest is putting your phone number in all of your confirmed meetings. The reason I say that is because when you're on site, it's a lot easier to connect with someone over the phone. If for some reason you get caught up at a session and you're 5 minutes late, or something urgent happened and you had to bail on your meeting, it's happened to all of us. It's nice to be able to either text someone or get to them that way besides the typical email. Over on the right, you could transfer this to colleagues. If you're attending with a bunch of individuals, you know you can't make this, but you still want to keep that meeting, I could transfer it to one of my colleagues right now. So I know the meeting will stay in place. It's not going to mess with anyone's schedule, but then I don't feel obligated to attend it. This is all clickable. So if you wanted to see your confirmed, which I'm on, the requested are the meetings that you have sent, but no one has responded. There's a green icon here. I could send a reminder to Colleen about the other meeting I sent if I wanted to. Now, these all coincide with your agenda. So one thing to discuss is meeting availability. You can update your availability at the top of the page, or it's updated as you add sessions to your calendar. This is where you can look at all the various sessions with different search options, and you'll see I've built a personal schedule over here. I have a 9:05 on Tuesday and 10:45 to 11. So maybe I want to go further down on Tuesday's schedule. I'm going to skip to Tuesday, and I'm going to look at the afternoon sessions. Maybe I'm interested in bridging the gap. If I go into here, I'll get a description, I get a location, I can view speakers, I could add this to my personal schedule if I'd like. Once I do that, it's going to come up with here, would you like to be kept available for meeting requests? Here's the thing, if you're at this event to 100% network with individuals, then say yes, I want to be kept available, because if someone does want to have a meeting and that's their only time, you want to be able to make sure you're available. If this is a session that you cannot miss, then you want to write no. That way it's automatically going to update my meeting availability when I go to here. So you'll see certain sessions I'm attending, or if I have a meeting. Otherwise, I'm marked available throughout the day. Other things to keep in mind. One other thing with meetings. You can send out multiple meeting requests at once. Just to explain how this is going to work. In the instance that you are marketing a good or service and you're going to market it to a few different people at once, you can come in here, you can say, I want a one-to-one meeting or a group meeting. A group meeting would mean that you're meeting with all those individuals at the same time. So I want to try to meet with these individuals separately. So I'm going to check mark these four, and there's search options up here, obviously. I'm going to hit this request meeting. It works the same way. Now I want to explain this to everybody. What this is going to do is it's not going to be sent to this person. They're not available. But the other individuals would get this meeting request for 9:45. So that's why you obviously, don't want to write hi Joe or hi Bob on it. It's going to 3 different people. First person to accept it gets that time slot. The next person who goes to accept the meeting will simply be told that time slot is no longer available. Please pick from a list, which will look just like this, and it will be your mutual available times with that person. And once you pick a new time, the meeting will be booked. So you don't have to pick a different time every time you send a meeting request. The system will work itself out for you. Lastly, with the networking platform on the desktop, there's a lot of other options that you can do prior and post meeting, or especially on the mobile app while you're there. If you want to review the speakers and see what sessions they're attached to, you could easily do so. View a layout of the center, you can. If you'd like to view all the exhibiting companies and see what booths they're at, you can come in here. It tells me that Tomorrow Inc.'s at 12:18. I get a description of the company. Again, this is what Chris was talking about. You want to add as much data as you have. If I have a Facebook, a Twitter, and a LinkedIn for my company, I want them added. Someone's going to go there to look at that. They'll then be able to see, all right, well, who's attending from that company? Oh, the Director of Strategic Partnerships. Well, I definitely want to meet with Carrie because I have an interest with 3D communications. If you're looking for some of the more generic questions that might be asked, what's the Wi-Fi code, the dress code, where's the coffee shop, where's Lost and Found, there's always an FAQ there for you. On the mobile app, you could create business cards. You can access all of your notes that you've taken. And again, simply put, the most important thing is log into the system, do it regularly, check your requests, what's going on, update your profile. That way you'll get the most out of being at the event, and individuals will know who you are. And then if you have any questions throughout it, there's support videos here, or you could easily click on the support email, and Kim or myself or another individual will get right back to you. And essentially that's the service. I'm going to segue back to Beth right now, but I'll stay on the line to answer any questions after the fact and keep my screen open if you need anything.
Thank you, Dave. And thank you, Kim. Just making sure you can see my screen now, Kim.
Correct, yes.
Okay, great. So thanks again, Dave. That was very helpful. And again, everyone, we will we'll start our Q&A portion in just a few minutes. There's Dave's picture. So I'm going to turn it over to Kim Pendinger, who, again, is my colleague on the MedTech Conference team. She's just going to talk a bit about some of the logistical details, just where the partnering area is at the conference, and then also go over a few tips as well, which I think you will notice that Chris and Dave, based on their talks, I think you will notice some themes coming out from our partnering tips, but I think it is good for everyone to hear those as much as possible. So, Kim, I will turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Beth. And also thank you to Dave. We appreciate the run-through. I talk to and basically bug Dave on a daily basis, asking him tons of questions and giving him tons of extra work. So I just wanted to thank him for everything that he does and also for joining us today. So this slide just gives everyone on the call an idea of where our partnering tables are going to be. The MedTech Connect zone will be located in the exhibit hall of the convention center. Dave mentioned and others have mentioned, if you have any questions on site, he will be manning our MedTech Connect help zone, also located in the exhibit hall near these partnering tables. And that box there is where both our halls will be, where you can find booths, our MedTech Innovator Showcase stage, our CEOs Unplugged stage. Those will all be in a central location near our partnering tables. So just going on to our next slide, our partnering hours are posted here. I just wanted to remind everybody that these are the times on site that tables will be open for meetings. You may request meetings at any time up to and through the conference dates, but these are the times that the tables will be open for you to be able to sit down and actually meet on site within those 15 to 30-minute blocks that you've been scheduling beforehand, preparing for the conference. So before we open it up for a question and answer, if anyone has any questions, I've seen a couple come through the chat feature and through the question feature. There's just a couple more things that we want to go over that have been mentioned today on our webinar, but I definitely want to drive these points home because they are really important for those who want to be active in the system and get the most out of their full conference pass that includes this great opportunity for networking and partnering. So I'll just run briefly through these since a lot of them have been covered, but it is very important to make sure that your profile is 100% complete. Putting a face to a name and having a profile picture goes a long way, and it makes things a lot easier on site. And that was a great tip from Dave to include your phone number in your meeting request. Whatever you can do to make yourself more visible in the system and therefore more visible on site can only help you have a better experience partnering at the conference. Also, something that was mentioned is being really specific in your subject lines and in the body of your message. We really want to drive the point home that a subject line that comes across in a meeting request that says, catch up at the MedTech Conference or meeting in San Jose doesn't really give the user receiving that request a whole lot of incentive to respond to it, whether that's to accept it or decline it. When I do my post-conference stats on the system, all the requests that I see that sit in the awaiting requests have generic subject lines and generic email bodies. So if you're a small company, consider including your product name and something brief about it. Or if you're representing an international delegation, mention the goal of your meeting right in your subject line. It's the first thing that someone sees when you've requested a meeting with them, and it really helps give them an incentive to respond to it rather than leave it in their awaiting request box. If you're struggling and you're receiving meeting requests at times that you know you won't be available, please and take advantage of the update availability feature. This is the best way that, as Dave showed you, that when someone goes to request a meeting with you, in that drop-down menu of times that you're available, that's the best way to ensure that no times that you know you'll be unavailable will appear in that drop-down menu. The system search tools are really powerful, and we encourage everyone to use them to your advantage. Do your homework ahead of time on the companies and users that you know you're going to want to meet with, and then let the filtering tools do the rest of the work for you. You can save your search, and you can even refer back to searches you've made in the past and see new attendees that have registered and are in the system. And one thing that we are happy to offer once the conference is over is we leave the system open so you're able to go in there and refer back to your favorites, your messages, refer back to any notes that you made on the meeting. This is a really great feature for, especially when you're on the plane ride home, you are doing your follow-ups on your meeting requests and the meetings that you have, or meetings that maybe didn't get accepted. Please remember that you are welcome and encouraged to go back into the system after the conference is over. The meeting tool will not be open any longer, but the messaging tool will still function. You can still see all of your saved searches, and you'll still be able to message one another via the system. So with that, I am happy to open the floor up for questions. If anybody would like to take themselves off of mute and have a question, I have a couple here in the chat feature. And so with that, does anybody on the phone have a question that they'd like to ask? Okay, I'm going to read through some of the questions that I've received. Dave, I might direct this one to you. Someone has asked they're having trouble pulling from their LinkedIn. They're wondering if there's any settings on their LinkedIn profile that needs to be changed to import.
That is a good question. I would tell them to reach out to me at dave@jujuma.com. I can't really answer that off the top of my head. Like any other technical question, which I will pre-warn everyone, if you have an app issue and tell me your app doesn't work, I'm going to start asking you about 17 different questions. So it's going to be what type of phone are you using, what's your iOS, what's your operating version, etc. Because what I'm going to try to do is do the same thing to see what works. So there's an API authorization with LinkedIn that allows us to pull from LinkedIn. So I guess one of the first things I would ask that person when they send me an email, are you doing it through the mobile app or through the desktop? If you're doing it on a desktop, I would need to know what type of browser you're using and also if it's an updated version or not. So just to give everyone on the phone some clarity, which is probably a little too much information, if you're using IE7, you probably shouldn't be. It's up to like IE 11 or 12 or 13. You should probably update that. But that actually makes a huge difference with technology, not just, say, ours. Facebook would work differently. Netflix would work differently, all sorts of things. So the only thing I could say off the top of my head, if you have your username and password correct, then let me know what browser you're using so I could try to recreate that and we could go from there. Other than that, I could also, if you were having trouble pulling from it, you could send me your LinkedIn and I could do it for you or add it in your profile, and then it would populate as well.
Great, thank you, Dave.
Just to clarify, your email was dave@jujama.com. So J-U, go ahead, sorry.
JUJAMA.com. Some people put Jujuma, so just making sure you have the different letters in there.
Great, thank you, Dave. And that brings up a really good point with that question, that a lot of factors, if you're having trouble with your app or you're having trouble in the desktop, there's tons of factors and settings on Outlook browsers, Gmail browsers, your iPhone settings that can play into the way the app is functioning. One question we receive a lot is that when you export things to your personal calendar, they don't show up in the right time zone. That's something that needs to be addressed in your email browser or whatever calendar setting you use. The system will automatically export to the time zone that the conference is in, which is obviously Pacific Standard Time. So if you are experiencing technical difficulties within the app or system, we just ask that you please consider any other settings that you might have turned on that might be affecting that. I have another question from Heather Williams. She asks, is there a user guide available? Yes, we do have a user guide on our website. If you go to the MedTechConference.com, we have a MedTech Connect landing page, and that will also direct you to a MedTech Connect resources page. There is a PDF there that's available for download with MedTech Connect Basics. There are a couple basic tutorial videos that you can watch, and that is a really helpful page for anyone who's just looking for basic information, and that will also cover some of the things we did today. Another question here is, how long after the conference will the mobile app content be accessible? We leave the app open for as long as our agreement with Jujama is like fresh for the year, and then the apps will be renewed for the next year when we renew those. So it's open as long as we are still in the 2017 year, and then we have to refresh and rebuild the system from start next year. So it'll be open as long as, and we keep that open for a couple months. And then let me just check through one more time on these questions. Okay, Dave, you might be able to help with this one. Jeet has asked, it says that my profile is 93% complete, but it does not tell me what I'm missing. How do I find out?
If you go to your profile completeness bar on the home page where that bar says you're 93%, click edit, and you'll probably, if you look on both sides, you're missing one field. My guess off the top of my head might be a secondary email address. You don't need to add it. I could remove that if conference organizers like, but that would be my guess. Whatever field is not, we can update how that profile completeness bar becomes 100%. As a default, it just means every field needs to be answered on both profiles. Following up on Kim's calendar thing, just as a friendly suggestion, if you are downloading the mobile app and actively using it, I would follow your personal schedule on that over your Outlook calendar. That's me personally. Reason being is that's 100% up to date. So if you booked a meeting on a Tuesday morning and never updated your Outlook calendar, that's not going to show up on your calendar. And if that's what you're using, or if that's what you printed on a Sunday, then you're going to miss that meeting. If you're looking at the mobile app and you're logging in and you click on your personal schedule, that's going to have the instant update on everything. If someone's rescheduled an event, it's going to be moved on that for you. So it's a constant update as opposed to something that's going to take action from you to update. Just an FYI.
Okay, and I have one more question here. Can we access a recorded version of this webinar at a later date? Absolutely. We have to compress the link and send it through to our marketing team, but we will have this recording available for everyone who has joined and who was unable to join, and we'll be sure to post that on our MedTech Conference social media, on our YouTube page, and we'll be sure to make that available on our website, as well as within the system when you log in. That will be available as a user resource in the video tutorials.
Thank you, Kim. Were there any more questions from the chat feature?
I do not see any. Does anyone who's on the phone have a question that we didn't get to, or has a question that they'd like to ask before we wrap things up?
Great. So just the last slide that everyone should see does have a couple email addresses if you do have questions. The connect at medtechconference.org, or either Kim is Kim at medtechconference.org. And I'm Beth, B-E-T-H, at medtechconference.org. So you can certainly email us with any questions. We were, as Kim said, we work very closely with Dave and can troubleshoot any problems you're having. For questions on site, just a reminder that we will have a help desk that will be located in the MedTech Connect zone near the partnering tables. And then we, as Kim mentioned, we have various online resources as well. So just a reminder, partnering did open last Monday, August 7th, so we really expect to see it ramp up here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So we just encourage you to get in the system and be active. And with that, we thank everyone. Well, first of all, thank you, Dave and Kim and Chris for joining us today. And we thank everyone who took the time out of your busy schedules to dial in and join us. And we are, thank you for your support in attending the conference. And we're really looking forward to San Jose in about 5.5 weeks now. So thank you again, everyone, for joining. And with that, we will conclude the webinar.